Prime Minister Modi has arrived at the Sydney Stadium, and this is the Qudos Arena in Sydney. And finally, that much-awaited arrival, of course, accompanying him to receive him is the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, and we'll be, of course, cutting across to that visual. Yes, Vishal, go ahead. So the Prime Minister has arrived, and in the next few minutes, he's likely to be inside the stadium.
Yes, as you told, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is already arrived in the arena, and then within a few minutes from now, he will be inside the stadium addressing a huge gathering of Australians, Indians who have gathered here in large number to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They want to hear from Prime Minister Narendra Modi about India. This is a very strong gathering here. This really comprises of top businessmen, also top people of Indian community here in Australia, and also students who make up a large community here in Australia. Now, students are a big brand ambassadors of India who come here in large number, and they really settle down and get permanent residencies. These students come from various states of India, Punjab, Gujarat, South India, and that is how they contributed to the community. Even the Australian Prime Minister clearly said that to the Australian community, Indian Australian community has been contributing not only to the society but also to the culturally rich society community of Australia. They have made their democratic values very strong here in Australia. So that has been a strong contribution of Indian community here in Australia, and what I can tell you is just few minutes.
With me, Vishal. So that's the first visual of Prime Minister Narendra Modi entering toward the stadium, acknowledging with the Namaste greetings to already the diaspora that's been outside the stadium as well. Remember, it's not just about meeting the diaspora and the bilateral talks as well, which are of course scheduled with the Australian counterpart, but there's also a dinner that the Australian Prime Minister will be hosting for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and that will be then followed by meetings with the Australian Governor as well. There's already been meetings with the CEOs, business leaders, and now the community event. Of course, community event is one of the most weighted because that's where the whole cultural extravaganza is, and it's worth noticed how in every country that Prime Minister Modi visits, the Indian diaspora comes all out. And it is only comparable one after another how they ensure that it is the biggest in their country, and in Australia the Indian diaspora is one of the largest communities as well. So a handshake there, a photo opportunity as Prime Minister Narendra Modi got down from his vehicle, a few words exchanged and heading inside the stadium. Yes, Vishal, go ahead. So we're expecting, of course, an address also by the Prime Minister in just a short while. But it's worth noticing how Prime Minister of Australia, Albanese, also had praised India, Indian diaspora, and, of course, Prime Minister Modi's arrival. Remember, Vishal Monga, our colleague as well in Sydney, is at the stadium and is trying to ensure that he gets the best view, the best spot to get you the latest coming in from inside the stadium in Sydney. So these are the visuals coming in from just about a few seconds ago as Prime Minister Modi arrived. Remember, Prime Minister was actually scheduled to attend the Quad Summit in Australia, but the event was cancelled last week, and that's why then they met in Hiroshima in Japan. That was the first leg of the meeting for the Prime Minister, and now ending it with, of course, this mega community event at the Qudos Arena in Sydney Olympic Park. Even in Japan, there was the Indian diaspora that he had met. So was in the island nations. In Papua New Guinea, in Fiji as well, there was enough Indian diaspora that he had interacted with. But now with the enthusiasm that we have seen here, the cultural diversity at play, and also to the credit of the Indian diaspora that they may have assimilated and are doing so well in Australia, but still so connected to the roots.
झंडों के साथ आप देख सकते हैं किस प्रकार से दोनों देशों की दोस्ती और आगे एक तरीके से बढ़ती दिखाई.
So this is very interesting. What you are looking is at a native Australian ceremony that's taking place, And this is not just about, like I said, about the Indian diaspora. This is also about as much about Australian culture. Prime Minister Albanese is trying to explain about the native culture, the welcoming ceremony, and how to acknowledge it, appreciate it. He's explaining to the Prime Minister. And these are, of course, the visuals from just about a short while ago. So this is about acknowledging and appreciating each other's culture. As Prime Minister Albanese said, that Indian diaspora is adding to the diversity, to the democracy of Australia with their representation and work. It's been hectic parleys, remember, for the past few days since Prime Minister Modi first went to Japan and then in Australia.